Have you heard of liquidity providing, but you don't know anything about it, or you just have questions about it? Well, I got this question earlier today, and I thought this was a very good question, and that we should spend a little bit of time talking about this because a lot of people have questions like this. So, without further ado, if this is your first time here, what's good? My name is Sam. For those of you who are returning, it is good to freaking see you. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out the links down below or press the share button and send this video to somebody else. Now, let's just jump right into this. So this came from my buddy on Facebook. And he was talking to his girlfriend about liquidity providing. She's providing liquidity. And she's concerned about impermanent loss and thinks that it is exaggerated when you provide liquidity with a stable coin. So what I first want to do is read through this. Then we're going to go through and understand what a stable coin is. Then we're going to understand what LP is. I probably should have written this down. We're going to understand what LP is. And then we're going to go through and talk about this specific question here. So first, he says, assume the ETH is $1,000. In the pool, you put $1,000 worth of ETH and $1,000 worth of USDC. Cool. ETH drops by 50% overnight, he says, and you are out of range. So he's talking about V3 here. On V3, if you're not sure what out of range means, you should click on the channel and check out one of my other videos on this topic. The USDC, so number 4 here, or 3. ETH drops by 50% overnight, and you are out of range. ETH is now worth $500, right? Because you put $1,000 of each. In the pool, you now have $1,000 worth of ETH plus $500 because USDC came out of the pool and ETH came in. So the total $500 of ETH and $0 of USDC. You now have 3 ETH because 1 ETH is worth 500. Yes. This is where the problem starts. You now reset your position. So you take half of the ETH to swap to USDC. Now you have 1.5 ETH or $750 and $750 of USDC. So once you're out of range, you got to pull your position to reset the position. Now let's say ETH recovers fully and goes up 100%. It seems you can't get back to your original $2,000 principal. This is because you now have 0.75 ETH worth $750 as it doubled in price. Yes, right? So you started with 1 ETH. Now the price is down. You reset your position, and now you only have 0.75 ETH, right? You also have at least $750 worth of USDC and more as more USDC comes in the pool as ETH gets bought up. But would it be enough to make up $500 to get back to the $2,000 worth of principal? Yes. You also have fees when it goes down 50%, and also when it went back up 100%. It's all in theory, but I wonder if having the stablecoin hampers the growth because USDC price itself doesn't move. So to talk about this again real quickly, this is the dude is talking to his girlfriend about this, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's hampering her growth, right?" She's not understanding that. So let's first we looked at what his thoughts are there. Now let's understand what a stable coin is. You can think about a stable coin similar to a put option. If you don't know what a put option is, you can go purchase a put on something, and then if the price comes down, you actually benefit when the price comes down, right? Well, how is USDC or any stable coin like a put option? Well, assume you have money in crypto and you think the price is going to go down. So you take your crypto and you swap it and you buy USDC or some other stablecoin. What you have effectively done is you have sold the upside, right? Because it's stablecoin, it can't go up, right? So you've effectively sold the upside of your crypto to protect against the downside. That's effectively like a put option, right? So the cost of it is you don't get any benefit when prices go up. The benefit is your belief is that the prices are going to go down. So if prices do go down, right, by say 50%, then you could go back into the market with your stable coin that you bought as a put option, and you could purchase the shit you had, but you could purchase more of what you had. So now that we get a good framework to understand what a stable coin is, you can think of it as like a put option. Let's understand that using the same framework of options, what liquidity providing is. So you have call options and put options. There's many other ones, but generally speaking, there's call options and there's put options. Call option, you purchase, and if the price goes up, you make money. Now, a put option, you purchase, price goes down, you make money. That's how most people understand options. However, you're like, who are you purchasing this option from? Right? Well, I used to sell options. I didn't buy them. I would just sell them. And when you think about liquidity providing, if you have asset A and asset B, asset A goes up in price, then you're left with asset B, assuming V3, and you're not necessarily going to be left with 100%. It depends on the concentration of your position. But you're going to be left with more of asset B if asset A goes up in price. Could be all or just a larger portion in your bag. Now, said differently, if you have asset A and B drops in price, again, you're going to have, even if A stays the same value, you're going to have more of B than you're going to have of A, potentially 100%. So what is that like? Well, when you use the same framework of options, you're effectively giving up the upside, because if you have a LP position, you're not going to benefit as much when the price goes up. And you're not going to benefit you're not going to have the asset that goes up or stays up, right? Because you're going to be left with the underperforming asset in both of those scenarios. B drops in price or A goes up in value, right? Either or A drops or B goes up in value. In either of those cases, you're going to be left with the underperforming asset. You don't get the upside, right? So what is that like? That's like selling a call option. Most people, as I mentioned, think of purchasing call options. So remember, if you purchase a call option at some period in the future, if that price goes up, then you could benefit, right? You can make money. It's a leveraged position where you can make money. What about on the downside? Same thing happens. So that's kind of like a put option, but instead of buying the put option, it's selling the put option, right? So that if the price goes down, you are worse off, right? Let's run through the scenario. If I used to sell put options, right? So if I sold you a put option and then the price went down, you benefit and I lose, right? Because the price went down, you bought it, meaning if the price goes down, you get to benefit from that. The semantics, I've made other videos on it. You can check out about how the details of options work. And I lose, right? Well, this can be thought of similarly to this LP position. Like you're selling call options on the upside and you're selling put options on the downside, right? And to do that, you would collect fees, right? So when I would sell options, I would collect fees that had a high probability of never actually being executed, right? So in the options world, I could actually lose money, right? In the LP position, you're not losing money. It's an opportunity cost to put your money into an LP position. So 2 things you want to think about. You have to be okay with holding either all of one asset A or all of asset B, whatever those 2 assets might be. And you're not going to necessarily want to stick your whole entire portfolio into an LP position. That just doesn't seem like a prudent idea. Think of you probably have a job, you probably earn some type of income. Do you think it's a prudent idea to spend all of your money today? Or do you think that you should take some portion of that money that you earn and you should invest it in the long term, right? It's the same type of idea. You're not going to take your entire portfolio of crypto and put it into an LP position. You're going to only take a portion of your portfolio to put into an LP position. Because one, you're earning fees, right? That's like the immediacy now thing, right? Versus the longer term, right? Like if you take some of the money you get in your job and you invest that for the future, why are you in crypto to start with, right? Because you're thinking of it hopefully slightly longer term, right? So you're not going to put in my opinion, you're not going to put a big portion of your portfolio into an LP position. So now let's go back to that example here. Now that we've got this understanding of this. When you go through and you read this, right, what he mentions is ETH drops by 50% overnight and you're out of range. And then point number 6, now let's say ETH recovers fully and goes up by 100%. It seems you can't get back your original principal, right? And then I'll tell you about a test that I'm actually doing right now. So when you look at this, the thing that is not necessarily realistic is the time. And it doesn't talk about that enough here. So he says ETH drops by 50% overnight. So let's ask ourselves this question, right? Because when you say things like this, what does this assume? What is this kind of like putting forth as the truth? What are the assumptions behind this argument? And then you're like, okay, is there a high probability that Ethereum is going to drop by 50% in a 12-hour period of time overnight? No, there's not. Also, what is the probability that, in point number 6 here, what is the probability that Ethereum is going to go up by 100%? And he doesn't give a time frame here, but let's assume it's overnight. What is the probability that Ethereum is going to go from $1,500 to $3,000 in a 12 or 24-hour period of time? Both of these things are super improbable. So 2 things to consider if you had these types of questions. Let's close this down for a second. First, if we look at something that's slightly more realistic, let's say you want to be more risk averse or think about it from this standpoint, you could say that this was going to happen over the course of several days. More than likely, it's going to be several weeks and or months. If you look at all the data, I think there was one time, 4 or 5 years ago where Ethereum dropped by 33% in one day, right? So the probability that it would drop by 50% in a 12 or 24-hour period is super improbable. Possible, but super improbable. And you're probably going to have bigger concerns if that's happening, right? What would cause Ethereum to double in price, or what would cause Ethereum to drop 50% in value? You probably have bigger things to be concerned about at that moment in time than your crypto portfolio. But the 2 things to consider here. First, say this happens over several weeks. During that entire time, you're earning fees. And say you started 50-50, right? Meaning 50% is in Ethereum and 50% is in USDC. And then let's assume that Ethereum is going down in value. So then you're left with 60-40, meaning you have 60% of your portfolio in USDC and 40% in Ethereum. So what did we define USDC as? Well, it's effectively a put option. You're giving up to protect the downside, right? I'm sorry, you're going to inverse that, right? You're going to be selling that to the marketplace because the price is coming down. So you're going to have 60% of Ethereum and 40% of USDC, right? People are going to want that because the price is going down, and you're willing to sell that to them for those fees. Now, will those fees you're going to continue to earn fees throughout this period of time, and then you're going to go from 60-40 to 70-30, right? And then maybe 80-20. But throughout this entire time period, over the course of these several weeks, you also have those aberrations where it goes back and forth several times. And throughout that whole entire time, you're earning fees. Now, point number 2. If this happens over the course of several weeks, at these ever decreasing levels of Ethereum, you're selling them, right, at a lower and lower price. So like you're buying, right, at lower and lower prices of these things. So you could actually increase your position size throughout this. Now, when the price goes up, right, the same thing happens, right? You're selling the underperforming asset, right? Or you're buying the underperforming asset, USDC, because that's how USDC works. And as this happens, where you're still earning fees, the price goes from, say 1,300 to 2,600 in terms of Ethereum price. At each point, you're selling some of that for USDC at a higher and higher price. So this example, you earn the fees throughout the entire time, and the asset that is underperforming, that you're buying more of, continues to change in value throughout this whole entire time period. So these are just some things to think about, not saying that one is the right thing or one is the wrong thing, but gaining understanding is the important thing so you can make decisions for yourself. Now, what am I currently testing? I have an LP position open that I'm actually testing effectively this out in 2 different ways. Creating a position where I'm tracking the details and I'm pulling the fees, right? So is this going to be enough to cover all the capital that I put in, all the fees over some period of time? I don't know. We'll see, right? If you consider the fees right now, I'm up. Right? Will this change? I don't know, right? The position value is down, but when you consider the fees I've earned, it's up. And I'm just putting the fees into a stable coin, right? Which effectively is a put option. But then I'm also doing the same thing, right, from a coin standpoint, right? Because you can look at it from a US dollar standpoint, but also from a coin standpoint. So I set up another position. And as I earn fees in that position, I pull those fees and I convert them into the asset that I want to hold in that pair, right? And I send them to another wallet so that I can track, hey, are the fees going to give me a smaller position, right? If I started with, say, 1.5 million of this token, and then I converted 50% of that. This is the scenario. And these numbers are made up, but 1.5 million of this one token. I was like, okay, cool. I have 1.5 million of this one token. Let's convert 50% to another asset so we can provide LP. Now, I would like my number of coins to go up, right? So if I started with 1.5, can I get that number to go greater than 1.5 using LP, right? Because then the argument that there's impermanent loss doesn't seem to hold water. And you can look at it from the USDC side, right? Where I was like, let me take a certain USD value, provide LP between 2 volatile assets, not a stablecoin, but 2 volatile assets, and pull the fees, right? And those fees I'll just convert to a stablecoin, right? Because we described stablecoins a put option. So this, I can, from that standpoint, it's profitable so far, right? Now, let's look at it from the coin count standpoint. So that, I just set this up recently. So I'll be continuing to test that. If you want to see a future video on the update of that, can I keep that 1.5 million, or can I get that 1.5 million tokens to increase, right? I will keep you guys posted. Let's check the chat real quick before we jump out of here. Hex Down Under, what's good? Good morning. Tank Crypto morning. Romanian Dan up early. How you doing? I just had this good conversation with my buddy around this, and I figured I would come live and share that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, take a second. There's a little arrow down there. Share this out with somebody else who's thinking about LP. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to jump off here. I'll be back on at 11 a.m. EST with GRC. Appreciate you guys. Peace.